perfect policy is the policy that has no weakness and no faults. It is something that works 100% efficiently and effectively. And it is something that does not exist. To discuss one of such policy, I am Amon Mishra is very much pleased to have your attention. According to Marius and Federico, the editor of the Journal of International Economics, ASEAN wants to make a policy for its member countries that will legalize the illegal migrants, that will create a pleasant and favorable workplace condition, and that will enhance the workforce competitiveness. And to which Priya Ponpirun, the editor of the Journal of ASEAN Economics, says, in order to achieve above objectives, ASEAN needs to make a policy that will legalize, that will have labor mobility, and that will have a sectional reform. And this is the best policy. And I'm going to discuss this policy, that is labor mobility and Thailand. And so the question is, what is labor mobility? Here I'm talking about the motive of ASEAN, where it wants a workforce to have freedom of movement from one nation to another nation, so that it can search for, so that the workforce can search the best host country that will provide them better economic status, opportunities, and livelihood. So, and how is this important to you and me? Actually, you see, the listed nation of ASEAN, it also includes Thailand, and we, as a Thai citizen, should be aware of the changes that will affect us. And now, before I ask you to name me some of the drawbacks of this policy, let me give you a general information, which is by Professor K.F. Zimmerman. He states that he is the director of the Institution for the Study of Labor, and he states that 2.9% of the world's population, that is 240 million people, are international migrants. That is quite a lot. So now, can anyone tell me the major drawbacks of this policy?
I know. Yes, Vendray.
Brain drain? Okay, brain drain. Very good, very good. And the second one is increase in competition. I was expecting someone to stay from this side, and she's not here. Okay, increase in competition. Now, third one. Oh, seriously? Impressive. You see, I know your frame of reference. And now, so to this, since I told you this policy is imperfect, these are the drawbacks of this policy. So let's talk about the brain drain. This is a common situation where the intelligent teens leave the country. That is, skillful people go out of the country in order to gain better earnings. And for an instance, according to Suvit and Somkiat, who are the professors of Rajpath University and the public health specialists, they say more than 1,500 physicians leave the country during 1990s and went to US, leaving behind fewer than 300 physicians to serve the country. And this really brought hardship for the rural area people. And now, the second, this is very logical, increase in competition. As the incoming immigrants are hardworking and low-wage people, this will increase and this will create a tough competition for the Thai workforce. And so, as you can see, these people are tired of tough competition. But some are smiling. This is because this is a general tendency for a Thai person to smile in any worse situation, as we are living in a land of smiles. Now, the third drawback, diminishing returns. This is after a certain point, if any resource is employed, it will show a negative results. And this point is actually the optimum point of employment. Any labor employed after this point will bring in losses. So, and this is very fundamental economic mechanism, as many of us learn in the high school economics. Being imperfect, these were the drawbacks, but that doesn't mean it has no benefits. And to talk about first of its benefits, I'm going to talk about enrichment of economic status and country's virtue. And let's begin with the fact by Deputy Secretary of National and Economic Development of Thailand, Mr. Amon. He states that 29% of the Thailand's workforce are immigrants, which Thailand has been recruiting since 1990. And these people have helped the country to achieve following stats. In Thailand, it's 17th among 183 countries in the world in order of easily dealing with businesses. It is first among 8 comparative economies in the region. Its annual GDP of 2012 worth $662.6 billion, and its GDP per capita worth $10,300. And this is quite a lot. So these immigrants have actually helped the country a lot in order to have better economic status. But how does this help the virtue of the country? Actually, there is another story behind it, which Mary Beth Mills, an American ethnologist explained. She says that more than 100,000 women are illegally migrated to Thailand. And these women are forced to live a life of slavery, enter prostitution profession, and forced to beg. As these women are illegal, they are low educated and low skilled. They are prone to dangers. So legalizing these women will actually give them power and to withstand the dangers. That will actually improve the virtue of the country. Agree? Okay, enough. So now let's talk about, last but not the least, the second advantage, that is low inflation, low unemployment rate, and rise in the GDP. This is actually, again, very logical because the incoming immigrants are low wage and very hardworking. So this will actually give a firm cost advantage. That is, they can employ them and produce a product in a low cost. And this will further lead into low price product. And what is low price? That is low inflation. And by seeing this, many firms will be encouraged to establish a business. And this will actually increase the amount of job vacancies. And this, by having more people producing product, this will increase actually the GDP rate. So now, some instance, according to Professor Cox of the Applied Mathematics faculty of Oxford University, every 10% unskilled immigrants added to a firm will actually decrease the wage expenditure by 5,746. And this stat is actually even higher in the textile industry. You see, low inflation this is. And now GDP stat. 5%, according to Ko Paiboon, professor of economics of Thammasat University, he says that 5% of total workforce that are immigrants have helped to increase the GDP of country by 1.25% in 2007. So to conclude, I have told you about three major drawbacks and two main benefits of this policy that I think you as a Thai citizen deserves to know. Thank you.